Hi, I'm Scott Bale, and today I'm here with Mitch Hickey. He's a minor league pitcher for the New York Mets, and he's going to tell you a little bit about how he heard about me and what he's experienced. We've been working together now for about 7 months now because we've gone through all the phases of training to prepare him to be at his best. Spring training starts next week, so he's going to peak next Thursday. He's going to be at his best, having gone through all these phases. So Mitch, why don't you tell them a little bit how you heard about me and what you've experienced with this?
Yep. Yeah, so I heard about Scott from our AAA pitching coach, DJ Carrasco. And he texted me one night and he's like, hey, I want you to meet this guy. He did wonders for me. Great guy. You got to go see him. I was like, okay. Just another thing that DJ's having me do. And so I got in touch with him, and he's like, "Yeah, come see me tomorrow. Do you have like 3 hours?" And I was like, "What is this guy gonna do to me?" But I was like, for sure. I'm open to it. I'll be honest. I was really skeptical though, because I have had knee injury, back injury, a couple arm surgeries in my career, and I've seen a lot of specialists. I've seen a lot of people who are very qualified, and it helped. But I was never really able to get back to my top form, I would say. So I was pretty skeptical coming in. And so I started meeting with Scott, and we started going through an assessment and, going over some of my history and things like that. And we got going on the plan and started doing the corrective exercises. We really started from, as he said, we went through all the phases, so we really started from the base, and now we're working on the explosiveness. But at the beginning, it was just rebuilding, and there's a lot of things weight room wise that I hadn't been able to do in probably 6 or 7 years. Deadlifting is one of them, and he kept saying, do you want to do that? And I was like, I've had some bad experiences in it. I've had my form corrected a lot. And, it still goes out. And he's like, all right, well, I'm not going to force you to do that, but you're going to be ready to do it. And so we got to a point where I was feeling really good. I came in feeling real good every day, and I was like, let's give it a try. And so we started off pretty light, and before I knew it, I was already above my weight from 6 years ago before my injuries. So that in itself was worth it to me. And then, feeling good every day, able to do things I hadn't been able to do in years. And then yesterday, I threw a bullpen, gearing up for the season, and we just started the explosiveness phase of the training. And yesterday in my bullpen, I feel like I'd never been better. I felt like I was fully prepared for what I was doing. I texted him right after, and I was like, my bullpen was, just amazing. I was calling out every pitch. I had perfect control of what I was doing, of where my body was, and my velocity. The previous pens, I didn't feel like it was there. But once we jumped into this explosive phase, it was like immediate. It was back. And like you said before, perfect timing. He had the plan ahead of time. He knew when he wanted me to peak. As a pitcher, you kind of always just want to be your best. So I was kind of getting a little frustrated with myself, like, why aren't I feeling that way? But peaking right before spring training, or starting to peak right before spring training is the perfect timing. So couldn't have planned it better. And I know I was super pumped about that yesterday and today. So,
Well, it's interesting because my planning was determined by COVID. The minor league season was canceled last year, so I got to spend extensive time with Mitch and go through all the phases. And he just found out a couple weeks ago an idea of when their spring training was going to start, and it happened to be perfect for the time we had together. So I couldn't really plan that. Normally the plan is to know when their spring training is and then backtrack from there to get them to peak. But we were both guessing at the time. So a little bit of luck happened there. The beauty of the COVID situation was because they were shut down, we could start from the very beginning and build on each phase to the next phase so that by the time we're doing the peak power, he's fully prepared for it. And in a normal off season, you may not have that much time to go through it because of their off season is just not that long. So my main purpose was to educate him so that when he is gone, he can do these things on his own and feel safe about it. When I first met with Mitch, I asked him, you know, on a 1 to 10, what do you feel like you are today? And I forget what your answer was, probably 8 or something higher than what he probably actually was, because once I worked on him the first time, he did feel like an 8, 9, or 10, but then he really realized what that felt like. So with professional athletes, they're taught to just push and push and push and not complain until something breaks. And then they're in the injury protocol. And what we're trying to do is keep you out of that. And what we've worked on is showing him how he should feel at his best every time he goes out to perform. And for him, that's pitching, but for someone else, that might be working at a desk all day. Whatever it is, you know, that you need to perform, you should feel a 9 or 10 every time you go out to do that. So that's really what I've tried to instill in him. And I feel like he's grasped everything. Mitch has a very extensive background in corrective. Before I ever met him, we just picked up some new pointers. But his background and from his injuries now, I don't expect him to ever be injured from just movement again.
Yeah, and that was one of the best things, I think, about working with you was, as you said, professional athletes were used to going in and feeling terrible, but you still got to get the job done. So it was really nice to, you know, come in here and I'm like, yeah, I could get a lift in, and he'd be like, what do you mean you could get a lift in? You know, let's get you feeling better. I want you walking out of here every day feeling better when you walked in. And so we take the time, we really do the correctives, make sure that I was feeling, you know, at a 9 or a 10 level, which, you know, was kind of unheard of for me beforehand. So now I have the tools to make sure that during the season I can do that for myself, or I know where to ask for help. And so I can go into games feeling at a 9 or 10 versus, you know, a 5 or 6, which is a pretty normal feeling for professional athletes, I'd say. So.
And that's what needs to change. We need to put them, instead of in a position to fail, because if I feel I'm at 6 out of 10 of my best, I'm not going to perform very well that day. I need to be at a 9 or 10 as a fitness trainer to help the client or the athlete. So as the athlete, they need to be at a 9 or 10 to perform at their best. So it's kind of the mindset of you don't have to push through things. You should let your body tell you what you need to do that day, because your body speaks to you, but it's not in English, it's in pain. And if you don't listen and address it, it's going to speak to you louder with more pain. So that's really what I'm trying to instill with Mitch and other athletes is your goal is not to come in here and lift weights and be running to the ground. Your goal is to be at your best every time you step on the mound, ready to dominate the competition. And that's the different mindset.
Yeah, I think one more point that I wanted to add was, I think before coming in here as well, I would assume, all right, I'm either playing or I'm not playing. I'm taking 2 weeks off to recover type of thing. So after coming here, it's like, okay, I'm playing. The next day I don't feel that great. So what do? Do I, you know, tell them I need some time off? Do I take a few days off? Well, I might not have to. I might be able to come in here and put in the work and do the correctives and the foam rolling and get the right areas loosened up to where I am ready to play that day, instead of just having to take off time, because I think that was, you know, you're playing in a world of extremes. You're either going 100% or you're not playing at all. And I think this really helps, you know, kind of bridge that gap to allow you to go 100% all the time and feel great while doing it.
That's absolutely right. Once again, I'm Scott Bale, and if a movement assessment's good enough for Mitch Hickey, it's good enough for you.